All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today we're unpacking a really chilling account called The Secret of the 13th Floor. Picture this. You're in an ordinary, totally mundane 15-story office tower in Islamabad. Our narrator? Well, he works the notoriously quiet graveyard shift, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. security. His whole job is basically staring at a bank of CCTV cameras, doing routine patrols, and keeping an eye on the building's 12 standard elevators. Just 12, numbered 1 through 12. But there's this one glaring, kind of creepy anomaly right on the ground floor panel. An unnumbered, solid black button sitting exactly where a 13th button would normally be. On his very first day, he gets a frantic, basically non-negotiable warning from the senior guard, the Ustad. He says, "Son, never press the 13th button, no matter who comes and asks." It's a classic golden rule, sure, but the way it's presented, it's like a deadly serious occupational hazard. This tells us right off the bat that this black button isn't just some weird maintenance glitch, it's something the night staff actually knows about and fears. It sets up this psychological boundary that we as the audience just know is eventually going to be tested. Now, the timeline of these anomalies kicks off at exactly 2:13 a.m. And no, that's not random. The supernatural stuff in this account runs on a super specific, recurring schedule, hitting when the dead of night is absolutely at its quietest. Check this out. On his very first night, right at 2:13 a.m., he's watching the camera feed, and suddenly, Lift C, one of the normal elevators, comes down to the ground floor completely on its own. The doors slide open, stay open for exactly 10 seconds, showing a totally empty car, and then it just goes back up. When he reports it the next morning, his manager just laughs it off as a faulty sensor. But honestly, a faulty sensor definitely doesn't explain what happens next. The escalation here is rapid and incredibly alarming. We go from that empty lift on night 1 straight to night 2. Again, exactly at 2:13 a.m., the lift comes down. But this time, the CCTV catches this dark, blurry shadow just standing inside. Its head is bowed, but right before those doors close, the shadow tilts up and stares right into the camera lens. No way, right? Then, by night 5, the psychological dread literally turns into a physical manifestation when this mysterious woman shows up. It's all building this insane momentum, hurtling straight toward the climax on day 13. Let's break down exactly what goes down on that crucial 5th night. Section: Breaking the Golden Rule. So, on the 5th night of his shifts, the quiet isolation of the lobby gets entirely shattered. An older woman, described in the account as an auntie, wearing a white dupatta and carrying a bag, just walks into the building. She marches right up to the guard's desk with this highly specific, basically impossible request. She asks him to press the button for the 13th floor. Naturally, following his training, he politely informs her, hey, the building only has 12 floors. There is no 13th floor. But she just smiles and replies, "It is there, son. You people just can't see it." After a super tense 10-minute standoff where he absolutely refuses to touch the panel, she steps forward and presses that nameless black button herself. The lift dings. The doors open to just impenetrable, pitch-black darkness. She steps inside, says she's afraid of the dark, and invites him to join her. The guard backs away, the doors close, and the lift starts to rise. And the really terrifying part? That unnumbered black button stays illuminated. Which brings us to a huge question. When those doors closed and that forbidden button lit up, what exact horror did the guard actually witness on the CCTV feed? I mean, he's totally alone in the lobby. He just watched someone press a button that shouldn't do anything, going to a floor that physically does not exist in the architecture of the building. Heart completely pounding, he literally sprints into the control room to pull up Lift C's camera feed. And what he sees is documentation of an impossible ascent. He's watching the digital floor indicator tick up. It climbs steadily through the physical building, from the ground floor to floor 1, floor 2, ticking right past every empty, darkened office space. It hits floor 12. And then, completely defying the laws of physics and engineering, the number ticks over to 13. The elevator stops, the doors scrape open. Through the static of the security camera, instead of your typical corporate office space, he sees this long, dark, surreal hallway. Identical doors are lining both sides of this dim corridor. But as the camera angle shifts, the true, paralyzing horror of the space sets in. The nameplates on those doors aren't for businesses. They are deeply, impossibly personal. He spots a door with his father's name, another one with his mother's name, and finally a door bearing his own exact name, But the absolute worst detail of all is that the final door at the very end of the hall, his door, is standing wide open. The psychological horror going on here is just mind-bending. It's like we're watching a split reality. On one side, you have the present guard. He's physically safe, sitting in the control room, watching the monitors in real time. But through the audio feed coming from that open door on the impossible 13th floor, he hears this desperate voice crying out, "Security, is anyone there?" And he recognizes the voice instantly. It's his own. The source material explicitly states the guard realizes he's listening to himself, calling out for help from exactly 3 days in the future. He is literally witnessing a live feed of his own impending doom. After that horrifying realization, the elevator comes all the way back down to the ground floor. The mysterious woman steps out, but now her hands aren't empty. She's holding this rusty old key. She looks at the guard and delivers this grim prophecy. "This is your door. It will open in 3 days. Whatever is inside must take your place." She doesn't even try to attack him. She just states it as an absolute, inescapable fact, seals his fate, and then walks right out into the night. Section: The Final Countdown. All right, we're now exactly 3 days later from the incident. The guard has somehow kept working his shifts, absolutely terrified, just counting down the hours. It's his 13th day of duty overall. The terror has come full circle, and whatever supernatural forces govern that hidden floor are finally coming to collect. It hits 2:12 a.m. We are exactly 1 minute before the cursed hour. The guard is hyper-focused on the monitors. Suddenly, without anyone touching a thing, Lift C begins descending on its own. And when he checks the CCTV feed for the inside of the elevator, the auntie is standing there again. She's not doing anything aggressive at all. She's simply holding that old key, looking directly into the camera, smiling and mouthing the words, "It is time." And down in the lobby, the black button on his desk panel begins glowing entirely on its own. Absolute panic sets in. He relies on his training and makes a frantic, desperate attempt to literally cut the supernatural force off from its power source. He yanks the main emergency switch for the entire building. Boom. The lobby is plunged into complete and utter darkness. The screens die. The hum of the building stops. For a split second, he thinks he actually stopped it. But then, echoing through the pitch black, silent lobby, he hears it anyway. That clear, mechanical ding of Lift C arriving, followed by the slow scrape of those elevator doors sliding open. He's just standing there frozen in the dark, staring at the open black void of the elevator shaft, and from the darkness inside that lift, a voice whispers, "You did not open the door. Your door has opened." It completely confirms how useless his actions were. You can't cut the power to a place that doesn't physically exist in our reality, right? His destiny was absolutely locked the moment that button was pressed. Section: The Everlasting Curse. Unsurprisingly, the guard survives the night, but he instantly quits his job. He packs up, leaves, and never goes back to that 15-story tower in Islamabad. But the truly terrifying takeaway from this account is that leaving the physical location didn't actually sever his connection to the 13th floor. The haunting followed him right home. We're talking pure psychological torture here. Every single night, without fail, the doorbell at his private house rings at exactly 2:13 a.m. When he opens the door, the hallway is entirely empty. Nobody is there, no blurry shadow, no mysterious woman, but resting right there on the cold ground in front of his door is a single old key. And engraved on the metal of that key are the words Flat 13, followed by his own name. It's this daily, inescapable reminder that the door is still open, and whatever is inside is still coming to take his place. The source material ends with this stark warning that completely recontextualizes the entire story. The 13th floor is not up, it is down. And what is waiting there for you is you. It so brilliantly illustrates that the black button isn't some mechanism taking you to a hidden architectural space up in the clouds. It's actually a gateway to something beneath our reality, a dark reflection that mirrors our deepest fears and inevitabilities. Which leaves us with this final, lingering thought. We've mapped out the whole timeline, the impossible descent, and the inescapable nature of this curse. The architecture of our everyday lives is full of mundane buttons, switches, and panels. But if you ever find yourself all alone, stepping into a dark elevator late at night, and your eyes catch a nameless, unnumbered black button on the panel, knowing what we just broke down today, would you really be able to resist the dangerous urge of curiosity? Or will you be the one to open your own door? Thanks so much for joining this explainer.